Donald Trump just snapped at a CNN reporter after simply being asked a question. So in this video, I'm going to show you that moment, but before we get into that, there were also a lot of other insane moments during Trump's press conference today. So let's take a look at these.
Can I ask, just clearly, do you believe there's a connection between vaccines and autism? Do you believe there's a link?
Well, I don't look. Right now, you have some very brilliant people looking at it. I had dinner the other night with the head of Pfizer, the head of Eli Lilly, and RFK, as you know, and Oz. And we had, and other people within the administration that are involved in the medical. And we're looking to find out, if you look at
Can I follow up on Robert Kennedy? He's on the Hill today. He's meeting with senators. What do you say to people who are worried that his views on vaccines will translate into policies that will make their kids less safe?
No, I think he's going to be much less radical than you would think. I think he's got a very open mind, or I wouldn't have put him there. He's going to be very much less radical. But there are problems. I mean, we don't do as well as a lot of other nations, and those nations use nothing. And we're going to find out what those problems are. And another thing.
Thanks, President Trump. What about the polio vaccine?
Well, I'm a big believer in it, and I think everything should be looked at, but I'm a big believer in the polio vaccine, the Salk vaccine.
Do you think schools should mandate vaccines? Do you think schools should mandate vaccines?
I don't like mandates. I'm not a big mandate person. So, I was against mandates. Mostly Democrat governors did the mandates, and they did a very poor thing. It was, in retrospect, they made a big mistake. Having to do with the education of children. They lost like a year or 2 years of their lives. The mandate was a bad thing. I was against the mandate.
So is that something you'd want to...
Have you had conversations with Venezuela?
Because China and the United States can together solve all of the problems of the world, if you think about it. So it's very important. And, he was a friend of mine. I mean, he was here for a long time, right in that spot, except sitting in a very comfortable chair. He wasn't standing like you are. But we spent hours and hours talking, and he's an amazing guy.
Have you spoken to Venezuela?
The press hates when I say that, but he's an amazing person.
Have you spoken to anyone in Venezuela, sir?
Can I ask you
On the border.
about
If I could just ask you on the border. Hold on one second, Gary. Real quick.
Like out of nowhere came the China virus. Out of nowhere came other things. We don't want to have, when I left, we had no wars. We had no problems. The Middle East was good. We did the Abraham Accords. We did things that nobody thought were even possible. But think of it, 4 years ago, we had no wars. You didn't have Russia going into Ukraine. They wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about it. When they saw what happened in Afghanistan, I think they gave them an idea. But they wouldn't have done it. They would have never gone. President Putin would have never gone in. And now you look at all those people are dead. All those cities are destroyed. It's nice to say they want their land back, but the cities are largely destroyed. They've left Kiev because maybe they want to use it or occupy it, but they haven't done it. They've done a lot of damage, but relatively compared to the other cities, very little.
So yeah, Trump was going on some insane rants today, which is unfortunately going to become our new normal going forward. But there was one moment that really stood out to me because Trump just snapped and belittled a CNN reporter for asking a difficult question. Just take a look at this.
Are you entertaining the idea of preemptive strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities? Against Iran's nuclear facilities?
I mean, it's a wonderful question, but am I going to do preemptive strikes? Why would I say that? Can you imagine if I said yes or no? You'd say, that was strange that he answered that way. Am I going to do preemptive strikes on Iran? Is that a serious question? How could I answer a question like that?
Would you sanction Israeli strikes?
Say it?
Would you be in support of Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear
How could I
facilities?
tell you a thing like that now? It's just so, you don't talk about that before something may or may not happen. I don't want to insult you. I just think it's just not something that I would ever answer having to do with there or any other place in the world.
Yeah, Trump really said, I don't want to insult you, as if this was anything that warranted an insult in the first place. To me, this was a somewhat difficult question, but it should have been relatively easy to answer. If he couldn't get into specifics, then just say that. You don't need to snap and belittle a reporter simply for asking a valid question. To be honest, this sounds more like Trump was caught off guard and he was trying to make it seem like he had thought about it before this. I think that he just hasn't thought of it and was bluffing to make himself look better. Because let's be real, if any normal, rational person had thought about this, basically they would have said that they can't go into specifics, but they're looking into the threat of Iran. And at least to me, that's a perfectly acceptable answer that basically says, yeah, you're looking into it, but the information is classified right now, so I can't talk on it more. But instead, Trump just snapped, and we got a mess of an answer instead. For someone who's about to be president again, this is very embarrassing.